Hi, I'm Robert Schwinn. This is Diane, and we are Three Hearts Institute. And as we had hoped for / promised, we're about to present to you our first couple that is going through the Cana 40 program. And I am going to let Diane do the introduction.
Hi, we're glad that you have signed on to watch our first interview. We're really excited to introduce you to some good friends of ours, Trey and Lindsay Elmore. We've known Trey and Lindsay we were deciding, I think, somewhere 6 to 7 years, and met them when they were students at UNT, right? You were both at UNT? Yeah?
Just him.
He was, okay. So they were also participants in the campus ministry at St. John Paul II University Parish in Texas. So they have since moved away, got married, moved up to Michigan. We're in Texas. So we've been able to stay in touch somewhat, and they now have 2 beautiful babies that we tried to talk them into putting on the screen, but they decided they need to go to bed, and we don't blame them. So many years ago, before they moved, they had given us a copy of this book that this week's video came from, Dr. Emerson Eggerich's book, Love and Respect. And they had read it. They thought, this sounds pretty good, and, handed it off for us to check out. And I can't remember if in the intro video we told you or not that Dr. Eggerich he's a great guy, and the book is good, but there is one, chapter. There's one chapter in there that doesn't quite hold with Catholic teaching, but this teaching that the video is about, this love and respect, definitely holds with the Catholic teaching, specifically with John Paul II's theology of the body. I hear a little voice behind you. Is she going to need to join us, or?
She needed a pacifier or something. One moment.
And she's welcome to join us. This is real here. We're not going to be professional and perfect. So while Trey's getting little Miss Therese and bringing her over and introducing her to all of our Cana 40 participants, this is little Miss Therese. What's her middle name?
Marie.
Therese Marie. There she is. Yay! Well, welcome, Miss Therese. All right, well, we'll just dive right in. You guys are well acquainted with the love and respect principle, since you're the ones that shared it with us many years ago. So just a little bit about you guys first. How long have y'all been married?
Almost 4 years.
Almost
4 years this April.
4 years in April. Okay. Awesome. And I've already answered this next question. You have 2 munchkins, 2 little beautiful children, little Maximilian and little Therese. So why did y'all decide to do the Cana 40 program?
We thought it would be very beneficial to helping improve our communication and helping to improve our spiritual life, both as individuals and as a married couple.
Okay, good.
Do you have anything to add to that, Trey?
Yeah, that just about sums it up. So some aspects of it, the dietary aspects, I'm kind of taking on both of our behalf. Lindsay is, of course, dispensed from that, having just given birth. So, yeah, and then the technology aspect, just limiting technology and the holy half hour. So time and children's disposition and everything permitting, we're only around the corner from a parish that has 24/7 perpetual adoration.
Oh, nice.
So we're blessed to be able to get up there and, if not in the chapel at the same instant, at least be in the same facility as our Lord exposed, and maybe take turns when one parent take care of children for 15 and the other parent get in, but we can get in close proximity.
Oh, good.
Very good.
Good.
So have you guys chosen to do the whole program, or are there some parts that maybe you decided weren't for you, or how's that working?
I know, Lindsay, with just having
The diet, right?
yeah, with the baby, you weren't able to do some of the fasting, but
With nursing, I'm not able to do that. I initially I did want to do the whole thing, but I'm still kind of getting used to life with two little ones instead of just one now. So I'm not able to do the full thing. So we did have to kind of pick and choose a little bit which ones we wanted. So far, we've done the technology, which has been wonderful for me. So instead of like just picking up my phone when I'm nursing her or when he's playing, I can pick up a good book instead, which
Good.
I've been doing now.
good. Can I ask what you're reading?
I picked up Imitation of Christ today
Okay.
from our bookshelf. What was the other one I picked up? There was something about
Silence with God.
Silence with God and trying to discern His will, and Attaining Salvation, which I've been trying to get back on reading, and then I've snuck in Lord of the Rings in there too. So
Good.
Attaining Salvation is St. Alphonsus Liguori, so that's an excellent work that we recommend for anybody.
Oh, very good.
Short and readable.
mhm.
Okay. Good to
Great.
know. Good to know. So overall, how's it going? Has it been doable so far?
Yeah. I slip up here and there, and
Sure.
just I get curious and about something, just pull out my phone and then immediately kick myself in the butt for it.
Put the phone down.
I would have
Yeah.
to say that's probably been my biggest challenge at this point
Don't
too.
have to try hard.
The phone or pull up Facebook in a off moment at work or something, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then I'm like, I'm not supposed to do this.
Yeah. It is hard to.
We've been doing 30 minutes of sitting down and talking to each other a week, and just trying to improve our communication in that way and communicate better with each other.
Good. That's kind
That's
of.
the
Go
the
ahead.
biggest thing, I think, paying attention to the Cana 40 regimen kind of brought to my attention was intentional, frequent communication. Sit down and look at each other communication, because what Lindsay and I found is that we'll do a lot of our conversing about just day-to-day grind, groceries, errands, whatever. We may both be in the car and we're both looking at the road, or we're both looking at something other than at each other's faces. And we found that it can cause snags, and you're not communicating with the whole person. It's like talking over the phone.
Oh, right.
You're
Yeah.
talking over text. Those are all kind of muffled forms of communication. Well, not looking at each other could likewise be a muffled form of communication. So there's something about setting aside one and the other, the two of us time just to talk.
Yeah.
That is the Camp Forward program is kind of a reminder to do it on a regular basis, a weekly basis, or more than a weekly basis, that we think is going to make a big difference for us.
Oh, good.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's exciting. I'm glad to hear
Yeah,
that.
you bet.
Well, that's kind of a good segue into this week's content of love and respect. And I think, Trey, beforehand, you had already shared that y'all had not quite had time to actually listen to the video or watch the video or anything yet. But because you'd read the book, you're very well versed on what the love and respect principle is. So kind of remembering back when you read the book, is there, say, one thing that really hit home that you took into your marriage and want to continue in your marriage?
Just the overall scope of the love and respect message. I mean, it's in the title, is that women are after love, and men's love language is respect. And so those two things are respectively what each partner in the marriage wants, what each spouse is after. So, and so Dr. Eggers talks about what he calls the crazy cycle, being that one defect in love or respect feeds on the other. And so it's up to, as soon as one spouse perceives that they're in that cycle, to be the person to put a stop to the cycle.
And how's
Being
that work?
aware, where you are and just kind of being aware that the cycle has started.
Right.
One thing that Dr. Eckert said that really stuck out to me was he was talking about how women don't have to try to love. They were just created to do it. It's just natural instinct. Men don't have to try and respect. It's just natural instinct. It says in the Bible, men love your wives, wives respect your husbands, be obedient to your husbands, for a reason, because the women aren't ingrained. They're not built to automatically respect like they're built to automatically love, and the same vice versa for men. So you have to really be aware of that. And listening to him has helped me to keep that in mind, that I love easy, but I have trouble respecting.
Right.
And it's the same opposite on his end.
Right.
Okay. Very good points.
Yeah, it is something we have to constantly work on. I know when I read the book, there's an example that he gives of a woman who, I guess it was a couple, and they'd been married for 10 years, I think, and the man had forgotten her birthday every year for 10 years. And so this 10th year, she was basically setting him up in a test and told the kids, now don't tell Dad, let's see if he remembers. And she would go get the birthday cards out of the mailbox before he could, so that it wouldn't key him off on there. And so the morning of her birthday, she fixed breakfast and sat down with him, and he says, I think I'm going to go play golf with so-and-so today. So he goes off and he plays golf, and that night they sit down to dinner, and the wife says, so did you and so-and-so have fun celebrating my birthday today? And of course he felt like a heel and felt terrible. And I know when I read that, I was like, how is that disrespectful? He forgot her birthday for 10 years. How is that disrespectful? And I sat down with Robert and shared it with him, and I was like, that's not disrespectful, is it? And he said, yeah, that's really disrespectful. And of course, that was a major learning lesson for me, because I was like, how? How could this be disrespectful? This man has forgotten her birthday for 10 years. And basically, it's because she set him up. She threw him under the bus to watch him fail, to watch him to get run over by that bus. And that wasn't respectful. I mean, it was pretty sorry that he'd forgotten her birthday all those years. But to put him in a
I
test
suppose I would come at it a little bit different angle. It's kind of, I guess today with technology and everything, you can, if the will is there, you can remember someone's birthday. Okay, so let's say he culpably messed up.
Yeah.
And the justification in her mind may be, yeah, I'm disrespecting him because he's got it coming because he has this fault. And as Catholics, we know that God allows you to know someone else's fault so that you can pray for them.
Yeah.
So that maybe, if there's anything to be gained from it, you may fraternally correct them. But
right.
We know the ends never justify the means.
Right.
Exactly.
There's circumstance for something that's an intrinsic evil, like disrespecting your spouse, isn't. Maybe it's forgivable. Whatever her culpability is, and she has the need to feel loved and all of that, and that's kind of informing that, and but the object of what she did is still wrong.
Right.
Right. Dr. Eggert even points that out in the video, and I'm sure in the book as well, that, for him to be unloving, which he was, is not an excuse for her to be disrespectful, and of course vice versa, which is exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's because God calls us to love and to respect. The Ephesians 5 passage starts with verse 22, and it starts out, be submissive to one another out of reverence for Christ. And that submission means, recognizing when I've done something wrong and apologizing, but also, like you have said, if Robert does something wrong, unless there's reason to bring it to his attention, it's just an opportunity for me as his spouse to pray for him, to help, that he has grace to see that and do better next time. But to come after each other either in an unloving or a disrespectful manner, there is no excuse. It can't be, well, I would be more loving if she were more respectful, or I would be more respectful if he would be more loving. No, Dr. Eggert talks in the video about it's between the individual and Christ, before it's between the couple.
Yeah.
So,
Loving your neighbor for God's sake.
yes.
Absolutely.
I think there's a lesson in humility there as well, not for the husband, but for the wife as well, because it's pure pride to say, well, I'm going to teach him a lesson, and I'll show him what for, and
Yeah. Exactly.
but to put your pride aside and be humble enough to say, no, I'm just going to tell him, I'm just going to remind him, the only lessons that need to be learned are between him and God. I'm just going to do the right thing and end the crazy cycle right here.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, any other thoughts about the love and respect principle that you wanted to share, or even just about Cana 40, or any other thoughts on anything you want to share? I mean, about Lent, maybe.
So there's always, and maybe Dr. Eckridge talks about this a little bit too, is just one of the occasions of temptations against love or against respect would be miscommunication, in the sense that it seems to one spouse that they've said something as clearly, or they've communicated something as clearly as they know how, and it's just not landing or clicking with the other spouse.
Right.
And that can cause frustration, and that's where preventing those instances from happening is not, I don't think, in anybody's it doesn't belong to anybody's will. As long as we're in this universe affected by original sin and concupiscence and just our fallen nature, the intellect is going to be fallen as well. And so my ability to communicate with my spouse or anybody else in a perfect manner all the time is it's not going to happen. So
Right.
bearing in mind in advance that what seems absolutely clear to one person is not to another, and then, okay, those miscommunications happen and they become occasions for disrespect or being unloving. But where virtue comes into it is, it's not the virtue of communicating perfectly all the time. It's the virtue of patience, of taking those moments to offer up the inconvenience for your spouse.
Right.
And to let your reason be ahead of your passions in that moment. So that's and Lent's all about that. So tying that in with Lent, that's what penance is about, reparation, but it's also about growing in virtue. Every virtue being escalating your reason ahead of your passions.
Right.
So every vice is your passions are ahead of your reason, and every virtue is your reasons are ahead of your passion. And knowing that you're not perfect and therefore you didn't communicate perfectly, that's where humility comes in, and that's the chain that binds all the other beads in the rosary of all your virtues.
Right.
A great practice, I think, for communication. I'm not sure if Dr. Eckridge talks about it or not, but it's something that we've been trying to kind of implement when we have disagreements, or if we need to sit down and really talk to each other. Is a great practice is take turns, like sit down, face each other, no distraction, kids are in bed, what have you. Look the person in the eye, let them talk, and like really listen. And then when they're done, when they tell you they're done, you repeat back what they said to you, and make sure that you've got it clear.
Mm-hmm.
And apologize for anything you need to apologize for, clear up anything you need to clear up, and then you switch, and then it's your turn, and you do it, and you be patient with each other that way. And I find that really, really helps, because you're not interrupting each other and chaos.
Yeah.
And what that's practicing is the skill to listen to understand instead of listening to respond. So I'm not listening to Lindsay and going, aha, here's the hole, here's the hole, here's the hole, here's the hole, and I'm stacking up the holes, and I got a list of holes that I'm going to rattle off as soon as she takes a breath and I can get in.
Right.
It's to say back to her, okay, there is going to come a point of, well, here's where I'm seeing it differently. That has to come up.
Sure.
But it's first, did I even hear what you just said?
Yeah.
And it can take a long time, and it can be meticulous, but it's like anything else worth doing, is you're building a communication foundation that's going to pay dividends in the long run.
Right.
Absolutely.
I speak from experience. Do not ever, ever, ever try and do this practice when the kids are awake.
That's when a little bit of the emotion comes in and the logic goes out the window, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm finding, I don't know if this is just a mother thing, but if the kids are awake, any little sound that they make, my attention's immediately diverted.
Sure.
And I can't listen to what he's saying.
Yeah.
Father Ripperger talks about that as well, as just that men have the perfection of that would, enable men to be in battle and bullets flying over your head, and there's a million things going on, and you can focus on one thing.
Right.
And that's kind of, so when I observe that, it's kind of, well, no, I mean, just listen to me. Just, well, why, like, you have this conversation, there's 100 other things going on, because I'm like changing a diaper and looking at the emails and talking to her all at the same time, and but that's another one of those sort of blue glasses, pink glasses,
Yep.
Neurological ways of operating. It's really a lot about being patient and understanding that the other person, if we were wired the same way, there'd be no virtue to get. Everyone's just the same, and
Right.
everything's the same to everybody, and it's all smooth sailing. But God set it up so that we have an occasion to pray for each other and bear with one another.
Yeah, and help each other get to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
I love the example Father Ripperger gave. I cracked up. He was saying that a woman can be changing a diaper downstairs and then call up upstairs to the other kids, you better not be burning the house down. And the kids are like, wow, she can see through walls or something. But
Yeah.
the father can be changing the diaper and the house is already burned down. He hasn't even realized there's smoke in the room yet.
Yeah. Yeah. It is that pink and blue. And I think one of my favorite parts of the video that Dr. Egerich talks about is that the combination of pink and blue is purple, which is the color of royalty, which is the image of Christ, which is the mission of marriage, that marriage images Christ's love for his church. So that's what we're all trying to do. That's what we're, trying to use this principle of love and respect and have those moments of communication, keeping that love and respect in there, in those moments of communication. So, well, guys, we're going to let you go.
Yep. Thank you for being our first guinea pigs.
Yeah.
For these
Thanks
interviews.
for having us.
Yeah.
Very, very much appreciated. And
Well, I enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah,
same
we did
here.
too.
We need to
We
just
did
talk
too.
sometime.
We do. We really do. We miss you guys very much.
We miss y'all too.
Have a blessed rest of your Lent, and we'll stay in touch.
All right.
Let's
Yes.
land.
Benedicite.